Now, the robbery that ruined Tay-K's life. It's been a while since we spoke about Tay-K. For anyone who's not familiar with the name, Taymor McIntyre, professionally known as Tay-K, is a 22-year-old rapper out of Texas. Tay-K was born in Long Beach, California, but ended up moving to Arlington, Texas at a young age with his family. Before his blow-up in 2017, Tay-K was a member of Daytona Boys, which was a collective based in Arlington. Along with Tay himself, his friends were also part of the group, Pimpies and Santana Sage. On July 26, 2016, Tay-K and a group of his friends decided to carry out a robbery. This was the robbery that ruined Tay-K's life. Tay-K, Sean Robinson, Letharian Merritt, Ariana Barrett, Megan Holt, and Jalen Bell planned this home invasion with the intention of stealing drugs and money. At the house they were going to hit, located in Mansfield, Texas, lived a couple people. Ethan Walker, 21 years old, his friend Zachary Belote, and his girlfriend Mia. On that Thursday night of July 26, 2016, Mansfield police responded to a report of a shooting that had gone down on the 1500 block of Aspen Court in Mansfield. The report stated that 2 men were shot inside a house in the area. The incident happened at approximately 10:30 p.m. that Thursday night. The police eventually arrived to the scene and found 2 people who had suffered from gunshot wounds. One of them was Zachary, who ended up surviving this attack. The other one was Ethan Walker, 21, who wasn't so lucky. Both Zach and Ethan were transported to the John Peter Smith Hospital, where Ethan Walker was unfortunately pronounced dead. The investigation for the incident started instantly, and the police already suspected that a robbery might have taken place, which led to this murder, and they're right. By the 4th of August, only a week after the robbery had gone down, several people were arrested and taken into custody in connection with the murder of Ethan Walker, which led to even more arrests. The story is this: Mia, who was a minor at the time, was dating Zachary, so that was his girlfriend. Ariana Barrett, Megan Holt, and Mia all pulled up to the house Ethan Walker and Zachary lived in. One of the girls had allegedly tipped off the robbers of 4 people about potential drugs and money being in the house, and so that's why this whole thing was orchestrated. Those 4 people were Taymor McIntyre, Tay-K, Sean Robinson, Letharian Merritt, and Jalen Bell, also known as Pimpies. Sometime after the girls had arrived to the house, after someone in the group relayed information about what was going on inside through text so they could carry out the robbery, a group of 4 people entered through the front door. 2 of the 4 people were brandishing guns, yelling for everyone to get on the ground. Tay-K, who didn't carry a piece, was assigned the task to find the drugs and money they were looking for in the house, and so that's what he did. Tay-K went into the living room, flipped over the couch looking for the drugs and money. In the midst of that going on, shots went off. Zachary Belote was hit in the head with brass knuckles and shot in the shoulder. Shortly after that, some more shots went off, and this time those shots were aimed at Ethan Walker. The triggerman, Letharian Merritt, who's currently serving life in prison for this crime, ended up shooting the young father in his abdomen, and that led to Ethan Walker dying at the mere age of 21, leaving behind a daughter. Before all the assailants split, they ended up stealing a few watches and cell phones belonging to the people in the house. The first call for emergency services was made at 10:42 p.m. that night, and a witness had stated that she had seen 3 young women running from the house and driving away in a white vehicle. Zachary Belote, who got hit, informed law enforcement officers about his girlfriend, who was present during the robbery, and gave her address to Detective Knotts and Peacock, who were investigating this homicide. The detectives eventually went to her house, spoke to her brother, who said that his sister had apparently came home in a white vehicle between 11 and 11:30 p.m. that Thursday night. He had also stated that she had hung out with 2 of the robbery suspects earlier that night, Megan Holt and Ariana Barrett, stating that she told him that they had just, and I quote, hit a lick, and that it went south. His girlfriend was eventually interviewed at police headquarters, and after she was told that the victim who was shot ended up dying, she decided to cooperate with the police and identify the other suspects. She was arrested the following day for capital murder. Letharian Merritt, who is the triggerman in this crime, was eventually arrested and charged with capital murder as well. Several other people involved in the robbery were arrested shortly after that as well. As the police were investigating the murder of Ethan Walker, they eventually learned about Tay-K's role. However, by August of that year, Taymor still hadn't been located. On September 21st, a couple weeks after the murder, law enforcement received a tip about Tay-K's whereabouts, and he was then apprehended by officers and brought in for questioning.
New at 6, video of teen rapper Tay-K as police question him about his role in a deadly home invasion in Mansfield. The video was shown to the jury this afternoon in Taymor McIntyre's capital murder trial.
This video from almost 3 years ago shows a 16-year-old Taymor McIntyre in a small room with police, uncomfortable, wiping his eyes at times, and finally admitting to investigators he played a role in a home invasion and murder in Mansfield.
After the interrogation, the Tarrant County Juvenile Services took him into custody where he was placed until January 5th, 2017. On that day, Tay-K was released from the juvenile detention facility to the custody of his sister. As a condition of this release, Taymor was required to wear an ankle monitor device, which he complied with until March 27, 2017. On March 27, 2017, Juvenile Services received a notice that Tay-K had cut off the monitoring device. He did that after posting a tweet saying, "F this house arrest stuff, F12, they gonna have to catch me on hood." Tay-K was now officially on a run. He did the race. After this is when the manhunt for Tay-K started. He became a wanted man. And for the next 3 months, law enforcement was looking for Tay-K, but they couldn't find him until June 30, 2017. On June 30, 2017, on the same day he dropped the race, Tay-K was captured by United States Marshals in New Jersey, and he was brought back to the custody of the Tarrant County Juvenile Detention Center. Aside from his involvement in the 2016 robbery that killed 21-year-old Ethan Walker, Tay-K also had some other allegations pinned against him. One of them was regarding the death of 23-year-old Mark Anthony Saldivar. Mark was a 23-year-old photographer who was fatally shot on April 23, 2017 outside a Chick-fil-A located in San Antonio, Texas. According to a police report about this case, witnesses claimed that they saw 3 people arguing in the back of a black SUV and someone in the front passenger seat pointed a gun at Mark. One thing led to another. The person who pointed a gun at Mark allegedly stepped out of the car and shot him. Tay-K was the one who was pointed out as the triggerman in this particular case, and he was on a run while this alleged murder went down. The case has yet to go to trial. Aside from this, Tay-K also had another allegation against him. This one was an alleged attack and robbery that had gone down on May 25th, 2017, a little under a month before Tay-K was apprehended. A 65-year-old man told a story about how he was allegedly held at gunpoint by Tay-K and eventually knocked out unconscious in Cravens Park, Arlington, Texas. The 65-year-old man identified Tay-K as the attacker in a photo lineup just a few days before he was captured. Now, after Tay-K got captured after doing a race, he ended up getting tried as an adult in this case. There were a lot of conversations about whether or not that was fair, since at the time Tay-K was 17. Speaking of that, by the way, Tay-K actually himself had something to say about that recently. I bet if I was a little white kid, they wouldn't give me no 55 years for a crime I was alleged to play the most insignificant role in when I was 16. They would have rightfully argued that my mind wasn't fully developed and gave me rehabilitation and a second chance at adulthood. One of my co-defendants was a white girl who was 16 just like me. They didn't try her as an adult, but they tried me and Pimp as adults. She ended up getting 10 years of probation without no deal. That girl is at home right now. And then on this other tweet, Tay-K said, "I really just need one chance at adulthood." Tay-K, my brother, if you're listening to this, which you probably are because ain't shit to do in prison, I'm sure Ethan Walker would like to have a chance at fatherhood. I'm sure he would like to be there for his daughter as she's growing up. At least you're alive. Yes, you're inside a box, but you're breathing unlike the man who died in the robbery you and your friends orchestrated. I get Tay-K's frustration though, because who wants to be locked up on them good noodles every day? Here's the thing though, it all comes down to actions, and the actions you took, which is participating in a robbery which killed another human being and took him away from everything he loves, including his daughter, brought you to a place where you're never gonna see the light of day, right? And that's the consequence you gotta pay for the actions that you took. Also, Tay-K described his role in that robbery as insignificant, which couldn't be further from the truth. Tay-K was the one who was assigned the role of actually looking for the money and drugs inside the house. I mean, that is a pretty significant role in a murder case. The fact that he was even there is significant, let alone him planning it with his friends and eventually going through with it and eventually searching for the stash. Those were several premeditated actions you could have pulled out at any time, but you didn't. This one decision cost him his entire future, which is really unfortunate because at the end of the day, nobody really wins in a story like this. A bunch of young people ruined their lives because they were too caught up in the BS, aka crimes. A young father lost his life, a little girl is fatherless, and an entire family is grieving. Whereas the W, I don't really see it. Like I said, nobody wins in a story like this. Throughout the last couple years of people talking about this story, one rhetoric that's been fairly consistent is, he was young, he doesn't deserve all this time. I think in certain situations that is a very valid perspective. I've heard a lot of stories about young people, mainly teenagers, getting caught up in different types of crimes, which eventually leads to them being locked up for life. And trust me when I say that, in a lot of those stories, I've actually felt a lot of sympathy for them, because you look at it and say, how exactly did a 16, 15, or shit, even 14-year-old sometimes, right, unfortunately get caught up in this? It always comes back to that one thing called lack of guidance. You don't have that leadership in your household, you're gonna seek it from the outside. That's basically Tay-K's story in a nutshell for anyone who didn't know. His father was locked up for the majority of his early years. Him and his sister were bouncing between foster care and being homeless. Poverty mixed with a lack of guidance, especially for a young boy. That's a disaster. Also mixed out with being around other kids who don't have the leadership, and an even worse outcome awaits. Tay-K's story always reminds me of the power of one's decisions, because like in Tay-K's case, the power of that one decision to be involved in that robbery in 2016 cost him his entire future, which when you really start to think about it, it's actually really eerie how much one decision can shift the entire direction of one's future. I think Tay-K's story, if anything, is a symbol of what can happen, especially as a youngin', when you go down a path of crimes. No amount of regret or tears is gonna undo the pain and damage he caused on to Ethan Walker's family. What has been done cannot be undone, but what has been done can serve as a lesson to people who are observing the situation from the outside. And that's what I like to focus on when it comes to Tay-K's story. His life might be over, but there's a lot of young people who heard about this story and got discouraged from living that lifestyle, and that's the positive here. Anyway, that's the robbery that ruined Tay-K's life. Any thoughts on it? Do you think the amount of time he got was fair? And just overall, what do you think about this entire story? Curious to hear what you have to say, so definitely let me know in the comment section below. Like this video, and yeah, have a good day. I'm out. Peace. By the way, if you made it this far, that means that you really fuck with me. So just a message to you. You might have noticed that I haven't uploaded in a while. Had to take a step back from work to focus on some personal things. I'm doing good for anyone who cares. I've seen the messages. Just want to say that I really appreciate you, and I feel really good about working again. So that being said, stay tuned for some more shit, and I love you.